Hello everyone, it's week 5 of the Recycle, Repurpose, Reuse prompt in the Facebook group, the Mixed Media Emporium. And the challenge for this week is to do anything you like regarding recycling. So pretty much a wild card with a recycling theme. Now I have got this package here from a pack of handkerchiefs. I love cotton handkerchiefs and I bought some the other day in the pharmacy, and this is the package that they came in, and I thought, right, I've got to save that. I just love this window here. And so what I think I'm going to do is just take this apart, and I just want to be able to use, I'm not going to use it as a box, I just want to be able to use the front part here and perhaps the back as well. So I'm just going to cut this down on my paper trimmer. I've cut the box apart and this is what I'm left with. I'm going to put this to one side and work on this part here. And what I'm going to do now is just peel the perspex piece off the back. So I'm just peeling this off as gently as I can. You can see that I've already had a go to make sure that I'm going to be able to do this, and I shall do this off camera just to make sure that you know, I don't make a really horrible mess of it. But just trying to peel this off like so, and I'll reattach that a little bit later. So there we go. I've peeled the clear plastic off the back. What I want to do is just apply some glue stick to the front, because I want to attach some of this. So let me just check. I'm pretty sure that this is going to fit over all of it. I've got a tear at the top here, but that should be fine. So I'm just using a regular glue stick here, and again, as usual, just making sure that I've got plenty all around the edges. And of course, now that I've taken the plastic away from the underside, it doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about getting glue where I don't want it. So, you know, it's just much easier. And as I've said before, I can just reapply that plastic when I'm finished. So in fact, let me just remove that. And let's, in fact, I've got a blobby here, so let's just get rid of that as well. And I'm just going to attach this tissue paper here like so. Now you can see I've got this as symmetrical as I can, and I'm just going to use my bone folder now just to burnish everything down, and then I'm just going to very carefully trim around the edges. But you know, that's quite neat. I'm happy with that. You know me, I don't like to waste anything, and so I think the easiest way to get rid of the excess is to use a craft knife. So I'm going to use my metal rule, and let's see if we can do this. So I shall just line the rule up here and just try and cut the excess away. And you see that slit really nicely, and then I'll still have this central piece then to use for something else. So we'll do this all the way around. Of course, the curved bit at the top is just going to be a little bit more tricky. You can see it is tearing slightly because the tissue paper is so delicate, but it's not too bad. And of course, we can tear away any excess using, or tidy up any excess using a nail file as well. So I'm just using the curved edge here as a guide, just to get rid of that excess at the top. And here we go. Not too bad. And then I can use a nail file just to go inside the edges like this, just to get rid of any of the awkward bits that I missed. This is what I've ended up with. Really happy with that. And of course, I've got the central piece as well that I can use for something else. Now I do want to grunge this up a bit, so I'm going to use my Distress ink in Frayed Burlap, my favourite colour. So I'm just going to ink all around the edges just to distress this, especially on the inside as well, just to get rid of any of the white edges too. So I'll go all the way around. Just, you know, use a bit of extra glue for any of the bits that I find as I go along that maybe haven't stuck down so well as well. But this looks pretty good to me. Now, whilst I love that as it is, I do want to make it just a bit darker just around the edges. and I need to do this now before I reattach the perspex, the plastic. So I'm just using my Memento ink and espresso truffle just to go around the inside. I'll do the same with the outside as well, and this will just give me a much nicer and more defined border just for the focal image that I'll add shortly. So here we go, just go around the edge like this. You know how much I love my double borders. That's had a quick chance to dry. I'm really happy with that. So bring back my piece of deli paper. In fact, I'll turn it over as well. I just want to apply some more glue to this side here. But first of all, what I want to do is just use a piece of tissue paper here just to get rid of any fluff or dust or anything that might be on the inside of that piece of perspex paper, because I'm going to reattach that in a second. So now, in fact, we'll just do it on this one side here. I'm just going to apply some glue all the way around like this, just focusing mainly just on those areas here around the inside. There we go, that should do it. And then let's just make sure I've got this the right way. So that's the paper side here. So I'm just going to try my hardest just to reattach it as it came off. So let's have a look on the other side, because the main thing is to not see any paper showing, and that looks pretty good to me. Let's just get rid of any excess glue. Here we go, that looks good. So I'm just going to burnish that down. Just use my bone folder really gently. You don't want to tear the tissue paper. I can still see a tiny bit of dust, and so I'm just going to use a small amount of rubbing alcohol, which of course will dry really quickly, just to remove any of the debris, dust and debris. Wait for that to dry, and then I'll do the same on the other side, and that will just make sure that everything is all nice and clean, ready for me to apply my focal image. So as far as my focal image is concerned, this is what I'm going to use. I've got this piece of ephemera here and a Greek book page. I think this was probably sent to me by Duke. Some mixed media paper as well, left over from a previous project. I think this was when we were doing Under the Sea, or one of the nautical themed prompts. And so what I'm going to do is just glue this down to that side there. Oh, we have these beautiful butterflies on the other side, but I'm sticking with this because the colour is just absolutely perfect for the focal image. So let's just apply plenty of glue stick down there like that. Stick that on. So let's just pop that down on the bottom like that. I'm just going to make sure that it's straight on that book text. It's a bit wonky, so I just need to do a bit of jiggery pokery. There we go, that will do. That's fine. So let's just use the bone folder again. I do want to ink around the edge of this one here, just using some distress ink. Here we go, this is the right blending tool, so I'm just going to very carefully just go around this like so. This paper is really thin. This is just a piece that I had from an ephemera pack, and it just matches absolutely perfectly. Well, at least I think it does anyway. So here we go. Let's just apply the ink around there like that. And then I'm just going to centralise that here and here, but just have it off centre at the bottom and the top. I think the placement of that is about right where I want it. So I'm just going to glue that down with a glue stick as well. So here we are. Let's pop this down. I'm going to stand up to do this to make sure I get it in the right place. About there, I think. And again, just use the bone folder just to make sure that that's stuck down. I love the colours of that. Isn't that pretty? Now Now, I left this weighted down underneath a heavy book whilst I went off and had a cup of tea just to make sure that the glue is dry and it's nice and flat. And so now I'm ready to attach this here like this. Now, I am going to trim, so I'm just going to make some pencil marks. So I'm going to trim that about there because I don't want to see any of the paper underneath. So I'm just going to trim that there like that. There like that, and I'll do that with a pair of scissors, because I do find with this fragile paper, vintage book paper, that sometimes when I use my paper trimmer it just tears and makes a horrible mess. So let's just use a pair of scissors to do this. We're not going to see it anyway, and we'll trim this along this edge here as well. And of course, using a pair of scissors, it's quicker and easier as well. Let's just get rid of that bit that's hanging on. There we go, get rid of that. And let's just see if that fits, and that's fine. You see, I just love that colour scheme together. I think the brown on the edge as well just, you know, picks out the brown on the inside. I love that colour scheme. That just really works for me. So now what I'm going to do is just apply some glue around here. I'm just going to use Fabri-Tac, well, 3-in-1 for that, which will be fine. So we'll just use a bit just around the very edge like that, not too much. That should be fine, and then I can just stick that down. I'm going to stand up to do that just to make sure that I get it in the right position. About there, I think. I've had this weighted down underneath a heavy book. I just love how that looks. I've pulled out a couple of pieces of Tim Holtz ephemera. So this one here, which I think can go there just like that. I've also got this one here, W.P. Collins, Natural History and Scientific Bookseller, which I think is perfect. But I just don't like the way that it hangs over the edge of the piece. So what I think I'm going to do is, in fact, I think I'll take it off and trim it on my paper trimmer. And then maybe we can do something with that. Now I've cut this off, so that's what I've got there, and that's going to fit perfectly there. Now I just can't find where these are going to fit. So Natural History and Scientific Bookseller. I really like this piece of ephemera that I want to attach to the bottom here, and until I decide where I want this to go in my journal, then, you know, I'm just going to leave it be. What I do want to do is just ink around the edges and just glue this down. So let's just ink around here with some of the frayed burlap, and I'll stick this down with some 3-in-1, or, you know, a glue stick. Same with the bottom. I'm really happy with that, and it looks like a shop window to me with the W.P. Collins across the top. So I just want to add this to my journal. Now, I'm glad to say I finally got around to altering the spine of my journal. Many of you know that the spine was just too small and the journal was just bursting literally at the seams. And so I've altered it, and here we go. I'm so pleased with how this has turned out. You'd never know that there was ever an issue with it. And I'm going to leave the footage after I've inserted this page as well for you to see how I went about it, because I know that many of you had asked me to share, you know, the process. Well, I've decided to break the signatures down into 2. It just seems to work better that way and is more balanced within the spine. I've got room for one more signature as well, and for these pages to grow. Now, the page that I've done today is going to go on the back of this signature here. I just think colour-wise it works absolutely beautifully, and I do want to add the pieces that I cut off as well from the W.P. Collins, so we can have Natural History and Scientific Bookseller on there like that. I've inked around the edges, and I just think that works really well, so I'm just going to glue those down. So there we go, everything is glued down, and I just love how this page rolls on from the ones that I did last week into the vintage tag from piles of paragraphs. I just love how this journal looks, and I must admit I feel so much more inspired to create in it now that I've fixed the spine. So I'm going to show you how I've gone about altering my spine as well, because let me just show you, this just makes me so happy. Oh gosh, I was so uninspired to keep using this journal just because it was bursting at the seams, and you'd never know that there was ever any issue with it. It's just turned out so well. I'm so happy with this. So have a look and see how I did it. I know that many of you were asking for me to show the footage, and I'll catch you at the end. Hello everyone, today I want to have a go at making my usual scraps journal spine bigger. You can see that it's just got so fat, and I'm still only halfway through the journal, and it's just becoming unworkable. I'm not enjoying working in it anymore as it is. Now thankfully I've got an elastic spine which I've kept tightening as well, so you know this is starting to become really baggy as well. And so first of all, what I am going to do is just remove the pages, which is really easy because, as I say, they're not bound in, so we can just find the center and just pull all of these out. So there we go, and there it is. That gives us an idea of the thickness of the spine. So I'm thinking that, you know, I've still got about half the amount of pages left to work on, so it needs to be twice the thickness that this spine is already. Let me just remove this tag as well, just so that it's easier to work in. Now let's have a look. I need to have plenty of room to attach something to, because of course I've got these flowers here as well, and I don't want to spoil the cover that I've already got. So I'm just going to have a think about what my options are and what I might be able to do about this. Now I've decided I'm going to start off by really carefully trying to take off this trim here. I've only got a tiny weeny amount of this left, so I will have to reapply this. So I'm just going to gently, really gently, just prise this apart. It's glued on with Fabri-Tac, but luckily I'd only applied the glue just to the center of the individual flowers. So here we go. That's causing minimal damage just because I'm being so careful about this. There we go, and so I will be able to reuse that hopefully, and not too much damage caused there. And of course I'll be able to cover this up, so I shall do the same on all the sides. Get the flower trim off, and you can see that it's left some of the paper backing behind. You know, I can tidy that up if I need to afterwards, but at least I've managed to save that. And I do also want to remove this cloth binding as well. Again, I'm just going to be really careful about how I do this to try and cause minimal damage. So pulling it into the side like this, so that I don't tear the outside of the paper. This is what it looks like now that I've removed the tape. It's not too bad, and I don't think you'll notice that by the time I've sorted this out. So what I am going to do is just remove the existing spine to start off with. Let me just grab a metal rule. So I'm just going to line that up and just trim all the way down here like this, just to remove the existing spine. And then I'm just going to attempt to insert a new one. I've never done this before, so I am just keeping my fingers crossed that I don't well and truly screw things up. Now I need to trim this a little bit more, and just do it bit by bit. There we go. And again, you know, I can just remove that excess there like that, and I'll do the same on the other side as well. Let's just do the same on this side. So just lining my ruler up with that crease. Get rid of that as well. There we go. So that looks nice and neat, not too bad at all. Now the old spine measured just under 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and so I've cut myself a new spine that's 2.5 inches here, and I've used some of the same packaging that I used to create the cover. This was just packaging from a set of pillowcases. I've got quite a few of these. This one here is more or less the same height as the existing journal. It's very slightly short, but it's there or thereabouts, and I think, you know, by the time the tape and everything is on, you won't even notice. That should be fine. So I'm just lining that up, and initially what I'm going to do, I'm leaving a gap, as you can see, because I need room for the journal to fold up. I'm going to use masking tape just to hold everything in place, just so that it doesn't move whilst I add my cloth binding. So I'm just going to pop that down there like that. The brown paper that you can see underneath here is just parchment paper, because of course nothing will stick to that. That's Louis either coming in or going out of the cat flap, by the way. It's Louis, here he is, he's come in. Right, oh hang on, that one's just that's just moved. Let me just make sure that I've got that in place. I think my door is shut, so I'm going to have to go and let him out so that he can get to his cat food. Let's just try that again. Louis, come and say hello. Meow. And then I'm just going to flip that over like that, and what I'm going to do is just fold the excess washi tape over the back. I'm using washi tape that I never use. I don't like this, and you won't see it, so that's why I'm using one that doesn't particularly match. It doesn't matter, you're not going to see it. And then I'm just going to use a bit more just to add some to hold the back in place, and then we can fold that over the other side as well. There we are. And again, I can fold that over and just secure that down. So let me go and deal with Louis, and then I shall be straight back. Now I'm going to use the same tape that I used originally to bind the journal, and this is Webtex military tape. So this is just green military tape. They also do this in cream, but the green is a lot cheaper, which is why I use it. And I'm just going to stick some down like that. Trim that there. Whoops, I've just knocked the camera, my apologies. So I'm just going to trim this off. This stuff is difficult to cut because it's so strong. Military tape sums it up, just really strong stuff. So I just need to make sure that that's aligned there like that, and I'm just going to fold that over the other side. I'm going to do the same on this side here as well. So we'll peel off some more, and all I'm trying to do at the moment is just cover up some of that existing mess. And again, I shall just trim this off. I'll do it off camera so that I don't knock the tripod again. So next I want to add some of the tape to the inside of the journal. I'm just going to try and line this up. In fact, I'll use that line there as a guide. I'm going to have this hanging off the side like that, and then I can trim this down here. I can deal with the overhang in a second. And then I'm going to do the same on this side here, like this. I've got a gap in the middle, but I'm not worried about that. We can fix that too. Now that's pretty even front and back, and so I'm just going to burnish that down with my bone folder into those grooves there like that, and I'll do the same on the other side as well, like this. Get my thumb in there, and then I'm just going to trim away the excess that I've got. So I shall have to flip that over like that, use my ruler and really get under there and trim that excess away if I can find my blade. Here it is. So we'll go under here and just really try and neatly trim the excess away. I've trimmed the tape, so that's how that's looking, front and back. I'm really happy with that. And to finish things off and make everything nice and neat, I've cut myself some white burlap, which is the same width, luckily, so this is going to work really, really well. And how do I want to do this? In fact, I think I'll have the join down at the bottom here like this. So I'm going to wrap that over there like that, tuck that there, and that will form my new spine, all nice and neat. And I'm just going to glue this on with some Fabri-Tac. So let's just peel that back there so that I know where that wants to go. I've got my Fabri-Tac here. Well, in fact, it's 3 in 1. And I'm just going to start off by applying plenty just to the edge. And I've got myself an old scruffy paintbrush as well, just so that I can just spread it around. So I'm just going to put plenty on the edges like this. I'm going to have to work quick because Fabri-Tac, as we know, dries really quickly. So let's put plenty on. Come on, you, don't let me down now. And I'm going to, as I say, spread this around just because I don't want it bleeding through my burlap. So let's just make sure that we've got plenty right to the very edges here, like this. Plenty down the centre as well. And then I've got a scruffy old paintbrush, so I'm just going to spread this around, just make sure I've got plenty right to the very edges. Doesn't look very pretty right now, but that's okay as long as it sticks. It really doesn't matter what it looks like underneath. Just keep your fingers crossed that this is going to stick. So now I'm just going to fold that up like that, and I'm just going to weight that down underneath a heavy book to make sure that that sticks good and proper. I'm just rubbing it into those creases there as well. So grab a heavy book, let me go and find one, and I shall weight that down. That's been weighting down underneath a heavy book for 10 minutes or so. So now I'm just going to repeat it on the other side. So hang on a second, let me just see how I want to do this. So I want to glue this bottom half down first, and I shall just do it in exactly the same way. So now I've got a tiny bit of bleed through here that you can barely even see. The front cover, let me turn it around the right way, is absolutely fine. I'm really happy with that. And so all I want to do now, that's what it looks like when I fold it as well. It's a little bit uneven, it's not perfect, but by the time we've re-added the trim that I took off, you won't even notice. It will be as good as new. So I'm just going to glue this down. Now I have tried to remove as much of the cardboard that was stuck on there as I possibly can. You know, some of the paper was left behind, so I've just tried to peel off as much as possible. And again, all I'm going to do is just add some of the 3-in-1 just to the centre of each of these flowers, just on the centre of these, just a little dot like this. Let's just glue that there, just like that, and that's just really tidied the edges up. So I shall just do this front and back, and then I'll be back. Let me just show you my finished spine. Oh my goodness me, I'm so happy that I decided to tackle this. I'm not going to lie, I was terrified of doing this in case I ruined my journal, and I know that many of you have reached out in the comments as well and said that you've got exactly the same problem. All I can say is please, please, please don't be frightened. This was so easy to do, took very little time, and it's been hugely successful as well. And because, you know, I was able to remove the trim, it's covered up any of the glue marks. You just can't tell that there was ever an issue. I'm so happy with that. So just to recap, this week's project is to do any recycling project of your choice. So pretty much a recycling wild card. Of course, don't forget to go and check out Kylie's video as well, just to see what she's been up to this week. And of course, we'll both be back next week with a brand new prompt as well. But if you enjoyed my video this week, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.